If you don't have a plan going into your 30s, it's going to be very hard to build any wealth. People have won millions and millions of dollars. Yet the majority of lottery winners end up broke within 5 years. That way it can make you more financially free. Your 20s are a time when you first start making money, and it's very common and normal to be dumb with your money because, well, it's the first time you ever make money. So now you want to go out and buy the nice things. You want to start spending money. You want to start going on vacation. You want to start buying a nice apartment. You want to get a nice car, and you want to just start exploring and enjoying life because you're finally out of school and you're finally making some money. But then come your 30s, and now you think this is going to be the time that I'm going to become wealthy, and an interesting thing happens in your 30s. First, this is around the time where a lot of people start to get married. You want to start settling down. Now, if you haven't gotten married yet, or if you are married, you know getting married is expensive. Not just because it costs money to file the court work, but because weddings are expensive. Now, I come from a traditional Indian family where Indian families and Indian weddings are extremely expensive because Indian weddings don't last 8 hours. Indian weddings last a week, if not longer. So, very expensive to get married. Then you consider having kids. Kids are also expensive. Now, I don't have any kids yet, but I have a lot of friends who have kids, and I hear about the financials of having kids, and having kids is expensive. Then you want to buy a home, if you haven't already. Buying a home is expensive. You need money for a down payment. You need money for the upgrades. You need money for the maintenance. You need money for all the nice things and the furniture that you want to put in the home. And then you start thinking about your college fund for your kids. And then you start thinking about building wealth for yourself and your wife or your husband. And then you start thinking about planning nicer vacations. And now because you're older, you also want to eat at nicer restaurants. And now because you're older, you want to have these fancier parties, go on these fancier dates. And now because you're older, you also want to drive a older person car. And now because you're older, you also want to have the nicer clothes so you look a little bit more professional when you go out. And now all of a sudden you're in your 30s. You're establishing yourself in your career. You're making okay money. But if you don't have a plan going into your 30s, it is going to be very difficult now all of a sudden to start building wealth and managing your money because life happens. And life is expensive. And people have a lot of babies. And every baby is going to have a baby shower. And every baby shower is going to have an expensive gift that you got to give. So if you don't have a plan going into your 30s, it's going to be very hard to build any wealth in your 30s, which is why so many people in their 30s are still struggling financially. And that's why now, if you want to become wealthy, the first thing you got to do is you got to build a plan for your money. Now, I know a lot of people out there are saying, oh, you just got to make more money. That's going to fix your problems. But the reality is, we've seen this statistically, is when you make more money without having a plan, you dig yourself into a bigger financial hole. How do we know this? Well, just look at people who won the lottery. People have won millions and millions of dollars. Yet the majority of lottery winners end up broke or bankrupt within 5 years of winning the lottery. Why? It's not because millions of dollars weren't enough. It's because you don't have a plan for your money. And this is where the first thing you have to do is be comfortable and okay with the money that you have right now, and that starts by making a plan. Now, one of the simplest things that you can do is follow something like my 75-15-10 plan, which says for every dollar that you earn from here on out, 75 cents is the maximum that you can spend, and that includes gifts for baby showers. 15 cents is the minimum that you're investing. 10 cents is the minimum that you're saving. Now, you're going to be saving money up until you can hit your savings goal. And your savings goal is going to be somewhere between 3 months to a year's worth of expenses. So figure out what your monthly expenses are. Take that number, multiply it by 3, multiply it by 12. That's the range of how much money you want to save. If you don't have a big risk tolerance, if you really like to be on the more cautious side, then you can save 6, 9, 12 months worth of expenses. If you want to be more of the risky side, you don't mind having less savings, then you can save 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. But now, once you figure out how much money you got to save, work to save that money. Once you save that money, take the 10% that you were allocating towards your savings, stop saving, and take the money and invest it. And the reason why I want you to invest that money instead of spend that money is because your wealth, your richness, your financial freedom comes from your investments. It doesn't come from your savings. It doesn't come from which car you drive or what home you live in. It comes from your investments. The more investments you have, the wealthier you will become. So I want you to reallocate that money towards your investments. Now, you can invest this money into stocks. You can invest this money into real estate. You can invest this money into your own self, into your own financial education. You can invest this money into your business. You can invest this money to pay down some of your debt. There's a lot of ways that you can invest this money, but the key is that you're going to put this money to work. That way it can make you more financially free. Paying down your debt will make you breathe easier. But if you want to be completely financially free, you need assets. You need investments that are going to pay you, because when your investments are paying you enough to cover your expenses, now you're financially free and you don't have to worry about money. If you have a dividend portfolio, dividends are cash flow the stocks give you that are paying you enough to cover your mortgage and cover your expenses, you don't got to worry about money. You don't got to worry about clocking in tomorrow. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't go to work, but you don't have to stress the same way about money that you would be if you didn't have that. So the goal is to own enough investments that will cover your lifestyle. But in order for you to do that, you have to be able to invest your money. But that means, number one, wherever you are right now, no matter how much money you're making right now, you do not spend more than 75 cents of every dollar that you bring in, period. Now, you might be saying, but Jaspreet, my best friend is getting married next month. I need more money for a gift. I need more money for a bachelor party. I need more money for this or for that. This is life. There's always going to be things happening. What happens in your 30s is people keep popping out babies, people keep getting married, and people keep having expensive parties at these overly over-the-top restaurants that are expensive. And what you realize is you start going to these nicer restaurants and you start getting smaller portions of food. It still makes no sense to me. But that's what happens in your 30s. You pay more for less food, and you pay for a lot of people's babies. That's the 30s.